Moving to another country has a price, and it's often not the most glamorous side, so people don't talk about it enough. I want to talk about what nobody's telling you about moving abroad, the dark side or the unspoken side of my experience, and not just that, but tell you if I think is worth it. Right now, I live in Copenhagen, Denmark, and I've been here for 4 years. I came here with my husband, but before that, we were living in the United States for 3 years, and before that, I lived on my own in Canada, and I'm originally from Mexico. I'm gonna share with you 3 of the main things that are not very glamorous of my experience. The first thing is that as I get older and I go back and visit my family, I do see my parents get older, and my sister is now pregnant and is my first niece or nephew that I'm gonna have. And that was a really defining moment for me. And it was a reminder that boom, you're gonna miss out on these things, even though I'm not gonna miss out on them entirely. By choosing to live abroad, it is a very real thing that I won't be part of that baby's life on a day-to-day basis. No matter how many Zoom calls I can have, or the technology, of course, that changes so much and I'm so grateful for it. But in the end, I am not there. And that is a very real thing that I've gotten more aware of, and I felt it harder. I do want to stress that I understand that all of the things that I say do come from a very privileged position where I do have the freedom and the opportunity to go visit more often, which I know that a lot of people don't have. The second one is similar, but now it's about kind of being child-free right now, and what would happen if we chose to have kids. And it's the fact that I would essentially have to go through that alone, and just us two. Even though I'm building this great community and I have a support system here, it's not my mom. It's not our family. And that is something that I've had to just think about. And if we were to choose to have kids, I feel like the only way that would be worth it for me is that if I could have my mom here with me for at least a few months, not living in my house. Just being able to consider that sounds crazy, and I know that is not even an option for so many people. Now, this video is of course about the things that are not so glamorous, but Denmark, on the bright side, is one of the best places in the world to have kids, and I would not change that for the world. So knowing that we have that possibility makes it worth it in my head, but it's still hard. And the third thing that I want to share is the isolation. What I'm going to share is very relevant to my own experience. It's just what my lifestyle is working online and not being forced to integrate into any group. Like, I don't have to go to a new job. When it came to building close relationships, it did not happen until I made it happen. And it took a lot of effort, so much so that I was like, this is hard for people. Let me build a social club. So I literally built a free social club called Project Friendship. If you're in Copenhagen, I'm gonna drop the link below because I want to have you there. Every single human being deserves to thrive connected to other people. We are social beings and we need friendships to have a high quality of life. So that's why I started Project Friendship. But enough of that. I know this is a hot take, but my experience with people in Copenhagen, Danes and non-Danes, has been that they're incredibly warm, incredibly welcoming, but it was always me initiating. So that's just, it's not good or bad. It's just a reality. I have made the most fulfilling friendships with people here when I took that initiative, but it took effort. It took me getting out of my comfort zone. It took me making the actual plans. And honestly, I'll be very transparent. I only started doing that when I started feeling the impact of isolation with the winter, that I was not really expecting it to hit me that hard, especially the lack of light. No one told me how deep the impact could be. So that really affected my mental health for a couple months, a couple years, I mean. 2 winters, until I was like, whoa, I need to do something about that. If you work online and if you're in a couple, you just are going to have to prioritize putting in effort into building high quality connections and relationships, but friendships, not networking. That's a different story. I do think that a lot of people hesitate to put in the effort because there has been this collective decision and discourse, especially here in Copenhagen, that people are closed off, that nobody wants friends. If you think that people are closed off and nobody wants friends and nobody wants to talk to you, then you will go out and seek evidence for that thing, and you will find it. You will always find evidence of what you're looking for. Just check your mindset. Check what are you believing about moving abroad, living in Denmark, living in Copenhagen, making friends, whatever your thing is, and are you just living your life seeking evidence to prove yourself right, and is that worth it? Is it resulting in the life that you want to live? And if not, then change the story. Do I think this was worth it? Absolutely. I never felt like I belonged where I grew up. I would not change the life that I have for anything. I value freedom so much, and I've built my life to give me as much freedom as possible. Seeing moving abroad as an adventure and just knowing that I have choice, it's enough for me to make it worth it. If you're considering moving somewhere, it's important to listen to other people's experiences, but again, be very careful what stories you choose to take on as your own. If I already decided to believe a story because I saw this chick on YouTube, I'm not allowing space for my own experience, which is what makes living abroad or moving abroad or traveling such an incredible thing. So just be careful with how much of other people's stories you take on, and give yourself the opportunity to create your own. And in the end, know this: you can always go back. You can always go back. I cannot conceive a life where I'm looking back wondering what would have happened, and I would not change that for the world. Living abroad has changed me, has made me who I am. There is nothing that you will regret more other than not doing it. So let me know what has been your experience moving abroad, or if you're thinking about moving abroad, what are you considering and what's holding you back?